Friday, and as you can tell, we are super excited. It's Friday!
Honestly, I was no, that's not the energy.
I mean, how are you when you're excited about something? All this your marshal dream.
You have to do it for her.
But you can tell we're super excited because we didn't even get to observe public holiday this week. I mean, twice.
I have a feeling you can do, but there's something.
We didn't get to have public holiday.
So we're supposed to be super excited.
Because the weekend we're taking the weekend off. Don't you think?
Please try that again.
Yes!
3, 2, 1.
Oh, it's Friday, and as you can tell,
Try to do it for her.
I have one take. Let me take it again. Let's see.
Do it for her. Let's go.
It's Friday, and we're super excited. So count down. 3, 2, 1.
It's Friday. And as you can see, we are very excited to see another weekend. But that doesn't mean we won't do what we do best. Welcome to Jasiri, where both voices meet both conversations, where we get to, get into a lot and some interesting top stories from the week. But we have just 1 hour. I mean, ladies, this is when I get what Catherine said when the director says it's time. And the conversation we are having is like so good.
It's time to wear. What? And I know because when I'm here, when I look up, I see that okay, there's still time. Suddenly,
50-something.
We land on 51, and I go.
So there's a way that Catherine looks. So Catherine she'll be looking at the guest, nodding. Then she'll hear the director, and she'll be like.
Don't speak English.
It's fine. I like the spirit today. I like the spirit today.
Yes. But now, before we get into the stories, today's stories, I understand that we need to ask some of the questions. We need to have some really important questions. I really want to know. You got it! It's all right. What's one belief that you've held on to, for so long that you had to let go? Let's start with you, Kat.
Don't start with you.
That's a jam question. That's a glitching jam question.
That's a glitching. The first thing that, no, I didn't hold on. The first thing I remember when you asked me this is, my mother saw me finish. My mother would say, if they touch you, get pregnant. That's the first thing that came to my mind. And honestly, I believe this thing. When someone was touched, I said, no.
Before you become pregnant.
Nah, my mom knew she couldn't tell me with that.
So what did they tell you?
So I think mine would be good things come to those who wait.
Really?
Same with patient dog is the fastest. Now hunger go kill him. That's mine.
So when did you stop? When did that stop making sense to you?
I think that was after, after you finish school, you enter the real world, you realize that there's no waiting. I used to be very introverted, and I realized that people got opportunities just by networking, connecting, pushing themselves out. Yes, there's a part of grace, there's a part of God, because I'm Christian, and I believe in the work of God, but you have to do your part, right? God will only multiply your efforts. 0 times 0 is 0. So, they wait now, I'm going to go kill you.
No, I think mine is females belong in the kitchen, because I'm an only girl, and growing up, you get that. I should be with a mom,
Oh, you got that too?
Yeah.
So how did you navigate that? Because it can be difficult.
So first, I think I'm lazy. So I think that was to an extent. Yeah. So I think especially domestically. So it didn't stay for so long. I'm like, no,
I don't think so.
And she accepted it.
I think so. So the thing is, my mom, even as unbiased as she tried to be, she also wanted me to learn some skills. So I really don't know what her intention was, but most times she just, she would like me around. So I cannot really pin it on tradition, but yes, I was in the kitchen most of the time. She's there.
Yeah. That balance is coming. I think, even now, I have Corday, you have your 2 girls. In some way, I don't think about it in terms of Corday is a girl, she needs to be with me. I think about it as Corday needs to learn to cook. So that when she's not with me, she can feed herself. Like it's a life skill. So I think it's something, our generation is changing a little bit. I think 2 things for me that I used to believe. One is karma. I still think karma comes into play. But let me tell you, I've seen if Nigeria is any example if Nigeria is any example, think that karma doesn't always come to play.
Yeah.
Between our politicians and certain things that happen in this country, it'll be like, where is the karma? Where is the karma? And the second thing is your work will always, your work will always speak for you, but because of social media and how people promote themselves, if you sit somewhere and you think that people will just stumble on your work and somehow find you, you are on a long thing. So you need to self-promotion. It's true. That's why I used to really believe in, no, if it's for me, it's going to come my way. No. It's not a lie, but it needs some help. Yes, like I've had people recommend me. I'm not in a room, and yes, that is a situation in which my work has spoken for me. But I've also realized that there is a lot to be done in this day and age with self-promotion, with putting yourself out there, with showing your work, showing what you're capable of, showing who you've worked with. So if anything, those are the two I've let go of, especially that karma.
You said this thing about karma that you said. I remember when I was in the uni, I won't say that was the reason that I was, keeping myself, being modest and all, but I just somehow had it in mind that all these girls are playing with their lives, When I'm ready to marry, I'll marry the richest man. I'll do this. The kind of rich man they're marrying.
Do you know who married first in my set? It was the girls that everybody said were runs girls.
You would not say that. Don't worry, they don't have children. They would have 10. You would just be waiting and their life is flourishing. You will get to a point where you have to tell yourself, I'm doing this because of me, not because of them.
But that is that's one truth that I think it shatters every young girl or most young girls, because even when I was in secondary and because my family was really strict, and being the only girl, say no more. So when you see all the, like girls who were in town, and they were fine, enjoying themselves, and you're sitting here, and you were saying, don't worry
for your prince. That's another thing. Please, I like this question. So it's not a belief I personally have, but I think it's a belief that needs to be challenged, and I think it happens to women the most. One, this idea of only one soulmate. With everything I've seen in this world, I do not believe that there's only one person who has today's my tried anniversary, 12 years. What? Jesus Christ, I've been married for 12 years. That's 12 years. Like it.
No, that's what we should talk about. How did you feel?
So there's I was 12 years ago. Wait, so what I say?
She one podcast of marriage.
If only my husband was joining me. One. I don't. Hollywood, Nollywood, whoever, they're selling this idea for women in particular that there's only one person and 7 billion plus people that can make you happy. That you can only have one soulmate. I don't believe it. No. I think that throughout your lifetime, depending on who you are, what you are, where you are, you have the potential to meet a lot of people who can make you happy. And choosing one person is closing your eyes to everybody else.
Everybody, yes.
Even when they come with like the package. That's one. The second thing is this idea of, it's not an idea of virginity I'm against. This idea of save yourself. We need girls to experience life. I'm not saying sow your wild oats, because even in sowing the wild oats is a problem for men. But experience life. Don't wait for your partner to come to experience life. If it's solo traveling, if it's going out, if it's finding your hobbies, be your own complete person before you invite another person into your life. But this idea of is a man that will complete you until you're complete. All your bones are complete, your teeth are complete, your blood cells are complete. You're looking for compliments.
They told us that a lot growing up. Like,
please go.
But now,
even till now, when people tell you, you're living alone, you're having all of this stuff, men will run from you.
I've heard that.
I lived alone. I lived alone in 3 places. I was responsible for my own bills. So when I have somebody who's helping me, why would
I was going to say quickly before we go on the break. See, you mentioned it's a tradiversary.
That's what they call it, tradiversary.
So a lot of people are nervous when they want to walk down the aisle. How was it for you? Is this something you're looking forward to? How did you know that? Okay, was it like, oh my God, Father, anything I say, may I collect? Like, how was it for you? Were you like looking forward to it? Like,
I was looking forward to it. I was not nervous at all. I was not nervous. At that point, you have signed, though. Even before you say I do, you've signed. All the family has come. People have come from out of state, out of country. So
you didn't have any doubts whatsoever?
No. I didn't have any doubts. I landed a good one. I know that.
Blessings. May it be like that for you. And Lois, may it be like that.
Amen.
Let me do that trend. My shoulder is like this.
Raise your shoulder, please. Raise your shoulder.
Oh my God, let's go on a break, ladies.
Okay, so we're ready to dive into our stories after the break. On the lineup today, we break down the Oshiomhole versus Airpeace saga. We also look at a young woman's fight to save her father from relatives, and the Ghanaian government has banned the use of honorary degrees and titles. Isn't this something Nigeria should consider? Well, these conversations come up after the break, so stay with us.
Now, welcome back to Jasiri. Please join the conversation via social media. We are at News Central TV. We begin now with a story that has Nigerians fired up and asking hard questions about power, privilege, and the reality of air travel in Nigeria. Buckle up. We're flying straight into the turbulence. On Wednesday, June 11, 2025, the departure lounge of Murtala Mohammed Airport Terminal 1 in Lagos became the stage of a heated drama, one that now has both a senator and a major airline trading serious accusations. At the center of the storm, Senator Adams Oshiomhole, former governor of Edo State and current senator for Edo North. According to him, he arrived at the airport 40 minutes before takeoff for his Airpeace flight to Abuja, well within the 30-minute check-in cutoff. He says he had already checked in online, had no luggage to drop, and expected a smooth boarding process. But instead of a seat on the plane, he says he was told boarding had closed. Meanwhile, he claims other passengers, some arriving after him, were allowed through. That's when the senator alleged something far more troubling. The Airpeace was bumping pre-booked passengers in order to resell seats at inflated prices up to 250,000 naira. He pointed to one specific case, a woman with a baby who had paid 146 naira online only to be denied boarding and reportedly told to pay an additional 109,100 naira for a later flight. Oshiomhole says he refused preferential treatment and instead stood in solidarity with the other stranded passengers. He even claims to have paid hotel bills for 2 Ghanaian travelers and sent the woman with the baby 500,000 naira to help with the cost. His words, and I quote, "If speaking out makes me a troublemaker, then I'll cause trouble forever," end quote. Let's take a look at one of the videos that has made its way online.
Yeah, that's what. Have you booked me? Okay. Delay your flight for 4 hours.
Okay, so Airpeace wasn't about to let that narrative fly, so the airline clapped back with not one, but 2 statements, and they did not hold back. The first statement was cautious. It described the actions of an unnamed prominent politician, condemning what they called unruly conduct that included violence against staff and disruption of airport operations. They alleged the politician sealed off the terminal entrance and blocked other passengers from entering. Nigerians immediately criticized the airline for being too vague, and the pressure mounted. Then came statement number 2, where Airpeace named names. They accused Senator Oshiomhole of lying, insisting he arrived late, jumped on a baggage conveyor belt, blocked gates, and incited chaos. And they also said that there was no overbooking, no price hikes, and that the flight actually departed with over 30 empty seats, adding that they lost money rather than making it by reselling tickets. Their challenge? They said, and I quote, "We dare the senator to present one shred of evidence of extortion." And they're now calling on FAAN to release CCTV footage to settle the matter once and for all. So what really happened at Murtala Mohammed Airport that morning? Was this about standing up for everyday Nigerians or a case of entitlement gone wrong? Different people who were there have been sharing their view of what happened, and it seems the majority are on the side of the senator. Let's take some reactions.
Lawlessness in this country is becoming worrisome. Someone came late to that airport and missed his flight, and he's making trouble. Someone who is supposed to lead by example, for example, is the one breaking the law, okay?
Catherine also saying.
Dr. Fabian says he should step down. His behavior is unconscionable for a person in the Senate, although the standards have been set so low in that body. By the way, where were the airport security? Here in the US or Europe, he would have been arrested immediately. Right? Tamuno West says every security man on duty should be on 2 weeks suspension without pay. How did they allow that to happen without arresting the situation? If another citizen tries this, that person would be in detention. Dare says, well, I don't support the behavior of the politician. However, flight companies take advantage of us a lot. They will delay flights, repeatedly postpone flight times, and make people miss appointments, but will close boarding and refuse passengers even 20 minutes to flight time. Young King says, one thing that bothered me is why these incompetent airlines insist on checking in at the counter when online check-in is available. After checking in online, you should be moving straight to the boarding gate if you are not checking any luggage in. True. Balotelli says, arriving at approximately 6:10 for a flight that's scheduled for 6:30 isn't bad at all. That's 20 minutes before departure. How come the plane left already? Questions upon questions upon questions.
So there are a number of people who are on this flight or in the airport vicinity who have actually spoken out in support of Senator Adams Oshiomhole, the former governor, and they've said that he was actually standing up, not only trying to make demands for himself, but also trying to make demands for other stranded passengers as well. So the first videos that came out were the videos of him shouting at the counter, and then there was a video we saw of the blockade of the entrance. And so I think that possibly had already set the narrative. And this is not the normal heights you see Oshiomhole, so you'll know that he's standing on. I don't know how to say it without, so you'll know that he's standing on something. So that might be where the accusation of the airline comes from, of him standing on the conveyor belt. We don't normally see him like that. I'm not trying to be shady, but I'm just pointing out that fact. So there's him at the counter, there's also the blockade at the entrance, and then there are people who come out and said that he was fighting for the people who were stranded and left and who were going to be left behind or were left behind by the airline. And let's not forget that this is also somebody who was Comrade Adams Oshiomhole. He was the president of the NLC for a very long time. Okay, so and so he's been an Aluta man for I think decades. Most people know him as an Aluta man.
I do agree if it's possible to share the CCTV footage, because to be honest, I cannot defend, I will not even say this airline or that airline, I cannot defend Airpeace for anything. Because because we all know what the experiences have been. You know, if they say, and well, this is based on speculation, but I've also experienced it, if they say that they traveled with empty seats, it's possibly because of the tons of mails that they send to passengers. They send 7 a.m., they send 10 p.m., they send this and that, and then passengers are confused. Sometimes you go there, you're sitting there, they will tell you that they've flown. And it's just always so confusing. So if you had, what's the word now? I don't know. But if you had right standing before now, maybe it would have been easier to defend you. But trust me, even passengers who were there that did not know what had transpired between Oshiomhole and the airline would also support him because of what they do.
I mean, I've had my own personal experience.
Please, who has not had their own Nigerian airline experience on this table?
Around May 29th, I was supposed to travel on the 27th. I sat at the airport for 10 hours to fly the next day.
You said what?
Airpeace.
It's a domestic flight.
It's a domestic to Abuja. We're going to Abuja for May 29th. Flight was on the 27th. Sat there till the next day because we flew around 1 a.m. in the morning, and my flight was supposed to be for 4 p.m.
You know, so it wasn't Airpeace. I can't remember the airline. It happened to me. I was going to Abuja for an event. My flight was, I think, about 2 o'clock. Got moved to 4. Got moved to 7. Got moved to, I think, 9. We were the last passengers who eventually left Lagos. I arrived in Abuja after 12.
I think a lot of people.
My sister had to send a driver to pick me up.
We waited for airline crafts to come from Ghana to transport people from Lagos to Abuja.
Can you imagine?
They gave us biscuits in compensation. I mean, yes.
I remember one time that they sent, my flight was supposed to be for, I think, 7 a.m. Then they sent a message or a mail the day before that it's been moved to 1 p.m. It's not even 10 or 12. It was moved to 1 p.m. And then later they sent another mail that it was moved to 3 p.m. So I just decided, because I was at work, I was like, you know what, let me just go from work and stay there from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. Tell me why they were boarding at 10 a.m. But you know how many people would have missed their flights?
And so you see, so that's the thing. You can't hold brief for any of the airlines in Nigeria. You cannot, because they say one thing and do another. At the same time, I'm assuming there must be good reason enough for them to do that, in as much as communication is wrong, and all airlines are guilty about that. Domestic airlines are guilty about that, and everyone on this table has a story to share about their experiences with some particular flight companies over others, but same domestic, same flights, whatever, carriers in the country. the former comrade, Anambra State, is not a man that can approach equity with clean hands because, I mean, of course, he's been in
position.
Yeah. At the same time, these airlines also, you cannot help any of them. Yeah. Both of them don't have their hands not clean. Both of them. So how do we know if Governor Oshiomhole or former governor,
all the titles,
let's leave it as Oshiomhole.
Yeah.
How do we know he is telling the truth, and how do we know that? I like this swiftness that the carrier came out to debunk and said, no, this is what happened and that's what happened. Blessing says, bring out CCTV, and I agree with that. Let us know what the truth is.
Who did
and set the tone
They shouldn't have
that.
dropped the second statement without proof. That's one. On Oshiomole's side, I think we Nigerians, when we see this is happening to like someone in government or a former person in government, it is easy to take the other person's side. But Oshiomhole has come to say, as you mentioned, that he has sent 500,000 naira to a pregnant woman or with a kid that has experienced this. So he's speaking with facts. And it was said that he also stood for some people that also experienced this as well, not just him. So I think I believe him to an extent because I have had personal experiences. And maybe airpeace should tidy up their own end rather than...
we are not even... Listen, we also as a people, because we encourage nonsense, we are served nonsense. It's not the first time that airpeace has been...
What will we do as a people? What are we supposed to do as a people?
That's my answer now. So do you know that there is a Nigerian Passengers Bill of Rights that was passed 2013.
But it was never implemented. Is it the one they said that you have to compensate when
so I'm looking at it now.
It was never implemented.
Let me read some of it. If the airline says it will fly you at 7 a.m., it has a number of hours against which it can delay you before you're entitled to a meal first, and a number of hours in which it can delay before you're taken to a hotel. Then a number of hours within which is expected to pay you a penalty plus refund your money if you don't want to fly anymore. Then there's supposed to be penalties which would make airlines sit up and assess their schedules and will allow passengers to know they can demand compensation when their rights are violated. So the fact that we're talking about a Bill of Rights from 2013, this is 2025, and our airlines are still misbehaving. The misbehavior that brought about the bill.
Do you remember that some airlines actually countered that? It was more like Armstronging the Constitution, saying that it sounded like, okay, even if the plane is bad, we'll fly like that. It sounded more like that, and that's why it felt like it was watered down.
International flights have been implemented.
I think after 2 hours, they must disembark you. They hold you. Then if they realize that you can't fly, they will take you to an airport hotel to sleep.
I don't think
so why does that happen?
Exactly. I don't think we have pushed for its enforcement a lot.
Are we wait. Are we supposed to be the ones to push for its enforcement? Is it Nigeria?
If you've been served breakfast,
if you don't deny the rights, nobody will.
We talked about it now, that you can't be in the shadows, you can't be in the shade because the sun is too hot. Stand in that sun so that they can see you. We talked about it. That's how we started the show today. So if we do not put our foot forward and demand for better service, if all of us or the majority of Nigerians decide to boycott a certain airline, you tell me that they wouldn't sit up. It's like I've sat on this table and said, if Nigerians decided that they were not flying to other countries, whether it's the Americas, the Europes, they will be doing bug off at the visa.
You know, one of the problems. No, it's not even about unity. Another problem is there's a monotony. I don't know how to explain it, but if you look at this particular airline we're talking about, they have a variety of options. They have time. If you check other airlines, because all the time I actually wanted to boycott them.
So they're a market leader because they give you options. They're able to fly to other places.
Do you know that most times people schedule their flights within a certain time to a certain time? Why? Because they say, now that one short pass. You know that they know the first
but it's not sure anymore. Like the first flight of the day, it's not sure anymore.
Not anymore.
But then, if we remember, Thatcher, the big brother Thatcher, also said this week or maybe ending of last week that this same platform, now fly between states without informing their passengers.
That they are flying between states. That
explain. And she said they will fly to Enugu. You'll take you from Abuja to Enugu before.
But they will stop at probably Nasarawa. They'll stop at
or they'll stop at Nasarawa.
So or they stop at Jos.
Our family members experienced that over the weekend, and she came out to do a video
to say that.
So there are fines of $170 and 10,000 naira. This is not a fine. On airlines, on foreign and local airlines, respectively, for delayed passengers' luggage as a first measure. So now NCAA is saying they want to start enforcing this. So it's but I want to say, United States, you can walk and chew gum. I understand the senators angst and his frustration, but I think it was completely wrong for him to block the entrance. That is where power came into play. So all those people that were asking about security, it's very true. They didn't touch him because he was Senator Adams Oshiomhole. Let it be an ordinary Nigerian that pulled his vehicle and blocked. That guy is DSS that will carry you out there. Because DSS is inside the airport. It's DSS. Everybody will rush you. So for the fact that he's blocking, you may have an issue with one airline, but there are numerous other airlines and numerous other passengers who needed to access the terminal.
But what if he was doing it for the passengers and he was the only one who was capable of doing that?
It doesn't make it right. He has no right to block the entrance. He can do the shouting, he can do the venting once, but he had no right to block that entrance.
And I think there will always be options in flying, in airlines. It's just that we like names and we like, you hear some airlines that sound like the green maroon or the green, you know, they have
not by name.
No, exactly. So people feel as if, okay, and I think it's human nature. You go with names that are more familiar to you to fly, and then you say, okay, but I believe there has to be a way. You can't be boxed in a corner. You cannot, especially, and you can't be held hostage. If I say I'm not flying your airline, I'm not flying. There has to be an alternative I'm willing to.
People have to keep taking airlines to court.
Do you understand? It's not even supposed to be an issue.
So you know how stressful taking them to court is in this Nigeria.
And you would have to pay. They have the money and they can keep you. They've kept people in court.
They understand. They've kept people in court. I don't think that, to be honest, I understand that people need to demand their rights. But if the Constitution is not upheld by the government that is trying to uphold it, especially when it concerns citizens would be encouraged to continue to try and ask, because at the end of the day, you are fighting for yourself. You're posting videos. They're not saying, the government will not say anything. Nobody will say anything. It's only when people are now rallying around you that they will now be, okay, this has come to our attention. That's come to your attention since you're just not doing anything.
I think my final thing, I was discussing this with my husband yesterday. Now that this has happened to him, unfortunately, it often feels like they have to be in our shoes before they take it up. I expect Senator Oshiomhole to move a motion on the floor of the National Assembly. Don't let it end in this trading of accusations between yourself and the airline, between people now finding out that there's a airline passengers bill of rights, that they are they're entitled to compensation, between by next week, I'm expecting that maybe he's asking for some kind of investigative panel, even though we have many of those. But take this to the floor of the National Assembly. It's a national issue because, one, airports and airlines are actually ambassadors. So if a foreigner comes into Nigeria and wants to do business from city to city in Nigeria, they themselves find themselves caught up in this absolute rubbish of the nonsense that happens. So take this to the National Assembly, lead the charge in helping the airlines in this.
Why do you think we've struggled so much to have a national carrier like one that every country has their own national carrier? No matter how tiny the country is, they have their own. But what is our problem?
Rented plane from Ethiopia.
My God.
Please, let's go on a break. We look at the story of a young woman who had to fight to see her father because he apparently was being held hostage by relatives. This story is a very big one, and we're looking forward to diving into it. Jasiri continues after this.
All right, welcome back to Jasiri on a Hot Topic Special Friday. Now to the story that's still very much trending on social media, one that has left so many Nigerians stunned, heartbroken, and reflective. A young woman named Ifunanya, known as @6'Amazon on TikTok, has been sharing a deeply personal and painful story about what her family endured between 2017 and 2022. And let me say this clearly. Ifunanya, you are courageous, you are powerful, you are a true Jasiri woman. So, let's take you to where it all began. This happened, it started when her father, after retiring in the United States, decided to move back to his hometown in Anambra State to finally build a home and reconnect with his roots. But what followed was something no one could have imagined. For days now, she's been posting video after video, bravely recounting what happened really when she grew suspicious of her father's silence and his odd decision to stay in Nigeria even after suffering a stroke. That concern led her to board a flight to Nigeria unannounced, and what she uncovered when she arrived, that is the kind of thing you would expect in a movie, not in real life. Let's take a look.
Uncle Francis and Auntie Joe have literally been throwing sand. See, you see this? You see this? You see this? You see this evil? You see this abomination? You see this? Ada of Peter Mount, what they're throwing. Come. I will show you the spirit of the Lord is in me. I will show you the spirit of the Lord is in me. I will show you what?
With that said, that video that I posted January 12, 2022 forever changed my life. Prior to that date, for 6 months, I didn't know if my father was dead or alive. My father, back in 2019, moved to Nigeria, moved to Anambra in particular, to basically live out his Igbo boy dreams. He had built a house, he had worked for New York City for 25 years, and he was retiring on time, he was retiring healthy, and he just wanted to go back home and be with his family, live in his home that he had literally suffered and toiled for being in America all this while. For 6 months, I didn't know if my father was dead or alive, because when I would call, my auntie would tell me he stepped out, he's sleeping, or she's cooking in the kitchen, she doesn't want to go upstairs, blah, 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 just excuses. So when I went to Nigeria, the Holy Spirit told me, it's time that you check on your dad and you see the physical state.
Daddy, the plane! Are you excited? A heartbreaking detail, Ifunanya described how she was met with hostility in her father's hometown. As she dug deeper, she discovered that her father, an elderly man recovering from stroke, had allegedly been held against his will by his own siblings. Yes, his own flesh and blood brothers and sister. He was locked inside the house, isolated from the community, and even the Onowu, the town's high-ranking traditional figure, had no idea where he was. It took the intervention of the Umuna, the town's male elders, the police and her father's best friend, and the support of the Noah community to rescue him. Now, what started as a casual visit quickly became a full-blown rescue mission. And Ifunanya didn't stop until she got her father on a plane back to the United States, where he could receive proper care. Now, in a long story that all started online, it's a long story that all started online, but we've put together some clips to give you a heart of it, which you've listened to some, but let's take a few more.
I'm here with you. Okay?
Bend his head. Go to the back.
I will, but let me just watch him safely enter the car.
Hello everyone, I hope you guys are having a wonderful and blessed day. I just want to say thank you so much for all the words of encouragement, for the prayers that have been...
So when she got home and she arrived at her father's house, her father's house, family had moved into the father's house. His brothers and sister had moved into his house. And she asked, they said he wasn't around. When they knew she wanted to come back, that's the sand you saw. They now went and put sand, trying to make it seem like there is nobody in the house. Somebody would call and say, oh no, he's not around, I'm his elder brother. Then there's a brother, I think, or somebody in the U.S. saying that he had power of attorney. She had to get the U.S. embassy involved to be able to repatriate her father back to the U.S. because they're trying to block it. She had to get the police involved. And I can't imagine, because now you think about all the family units that have been broken, not necessarily because of Japa, but people are looking for greener pastures, there's opportunities. And it's not always that easy for people to come home. So from not being able to talk to him on the phone for 6 months, someone who had a stroke, you have an opportunity to go get treated in the U.S. Did we see him? This man was flesh and bone almost. And that is his family, brothers and sister he played with, he grew up with, that left him, that treated him like that.
Okay. When he came home, he was normal, né? He was okay. The stroke happened here.
Happened after he had come home.
Yeah,
it happened after you had come.
Say it.
No, even though I was going to say it.
It
It did. Because even she said it. A lot of people even said it online, that she had to have been very careful for herself, because if she had not been careful, the family could have hurt her spiritually, as many of us believe.
Because I mean,
no, she kept on. I've seen some of the videos. So she kept on speaking about being led by the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
So she said after they went to the police, the Holy Spirit led her not to allow.
There was a time they called her to come.
Yeah,
and the Holy Spirit told her not to go.
Yeah.
They had plans.
See, if you have a good family, many people believe that because you were born together, you shared the same womb, or you have the same bloodline, then they're the people that won't hurt you, they're the people you can trust the most. But if you have a great family, you need to be thankful. Sometimes friends are even better than family. And you would not see people's true color until you're that's why they say if you're the only successful person in the midst of your family or friends, it's dangerous for you.
Dangerous,
you would never see people's true color. And that's why I mean, I understand why people would want to retire and stay with their people, but it has to be people that you trust.
Yeah, but because you say flesh and blood, everyone says, oh, how can someone, you came up from the same womb, you grew up together, how can this person how can you believe that this person would do you bad? Guys, it happens.
It's actually,
whether you like it or not, it happens. Look at this one. He came back from, listen, and that's what a lot of people, when people move and japa abroad, is for their families, to make sure the children get better opportunities, a better life. And then when they're done and they're happy that the children have settled, they want to come back home to rest and to retire in their home country. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But probably, you know, when you come home and see that home is not really what you expected, and that, how do you lock a man in the house?
She even entered the house, and they didn't, at one point, they did not even want to let her in the room where her father was. They locked the door. They too also tried to involve the police.
Imagine if she had not come when she came.
Yeah.
Listen,
and she had not come unannounced. Imagine if she told her she was coming.
Oh, she wouldn't have landed.
It is Father's Day on Sunday, guys. And I say kudos to men who are intentional fathers, men who are present, men who are the center of the children's lives. Because if this man wasn't the center of his child's life, it would have been. Because you could see from her submissions, her videos, she did everything. She involved the U.S. authorities on some levels. She took, listen, she went all in. There's some people that will say, well, don't tire, what is it, Seth? It's not even my, Shebi is his family. If he wants to stay there, let him stay there. I haven't heard from him. Yeah, maybe they'll be making excuses. She flew down from the U.S. to come to find out what is it gong that is going on.
And that's when I was growing up in the U.S., we had several instances of wale.
Yes.
People abroad that will tell you that one day they just woke up, they left everything, they walked away, and they found themselves in Nigeria. They didn't know how they got to Nigeria.
Yeah. Okay.
And so wale, like somebody called you.
There's a lot. See, I was chatting with Catherine and Oliver, was it day before yesterday, and I was sharing a prediction that, you know, we would have an increase in Jakwada.
It's already happening.
It's already happening. But you know, I'm glad we're bringing stories like this to life, because over the years we have stories like, oh, I sent money home.
I was about to mention that the house wasn't built.
This house
There's nothing.
There's nothing. You know, family members are treating me like this. My sister spent, you know, millions and millions of their savings. So not alone is this story inspirational. This will set, you know, precedents for how people that want to come back now, they will have a plan.
Yes.
So they would have a plan. So if Naya, this is bigger than that.
And I'm glad that this happened, because I also want to talk about the distance that people keep from their families, which is unhealthy. Imagine if, like Catherine said, he's not been in constant communication. You know, he might not be an absent
So she knew
father,
when the communication was no longer like
So imagine she was used to, well, I mean, I've gone more days without talking to him, but she knew that it was unlike him. It wasn't usual for him to have just kept quiet all the while. And another thing I'll say is, don't test your family with money. Don't.
Nah, man. Don't do that.
If you have a project, contract a professional to do your project, or come back before you do your project.
This same thing,
Even the professionals, how are you sure who is? We'll get to the Ghana one, because that takes us into that story. Even the professionals, how are you sure who is professional? I had an aunt and uncle in the U.S. They did everything. Their kids are grown now. They came back, I think, a few years. So my family coming back sort of influenced the number of families around us. So they were asking my dad, how did you do it, the transition, setting up and everything. He was giving his brother money. they fully wanted to come back. They came back to nothing. Nothing. 6 months later, they turned around, they went back. And what pains me is we think of it as just people going back, but that's skill. He was ready to go and teach in a university. They were going to set up business. So it's not just about them deciding to go back. It's not just about people being betrayed by their families. A lot of them come back with the plan to set up a business, to put their own expertise into our economy, into the country. But the behavior of family chases them away. And guess what? Another country continues to benefit from it. We need to be very deeply reflective of the kind of evil and wickedness that lies in the hearts of many people. Because one person is doing better. But how much better? Do you know? Credit cards. A lot of people come home on credit cards, and they go back and they work their butts off to pay those bills.
But we don't see that.
Runs on credit.
No,
credit scores.
I was in a Bolt, and the man who I noticed was speaking. He spoke well, and he said, "Oh, he just came back from Malaysia. He was in Malaysia for I don't know over 10 years." And he kept sending money home to build something, to build a home, and to set up a laundry business. He came back to nothing. I told him, I said, I beg your pardon. He said, I came back to nothing. My family, this is my family. If I had contracted someone and knowing I'm paying you a percentage to oversee, and we signed a contract, you know, like he was saying, if he had made it legal and made it transactional, like, listen, be in charge of this and then just oversee. But a lot of us believe in family that, listen, and then he came back to nothing.
There's also the conversation of, yes, there's the part of entitlement, but there's also the conversation of people feeling like they owe their family. I'm talking to my mother. You don't owe your family anything, especially people who were not there for you. If it's your husband's people that did not care about your existence, it's not your load to carry. Because I kind of feel like maybe the man did not, well, yes, there's the part that maybe he wanted to just be with his family, but there could also be the part that he doesn't want to be distant from them so they don't feel like he has made money and then he has run away. So they're entitled, and then he felt guilt-tripped into coming back to staying with them. And probably before it even deteriorated into this, they had been asking him of things when he could no longer give
it involved his pension as well,
you don't owe you don't owe them anything. Whatever you do, you do.
Keep in mind that this man was also incapacitated to an extent. He had stroke, and from the videos, I think he also might have lost speech. So them not being able to speak to him, it's not because maybe he could chat, but maybe not speak. From what I'm not sure that's correct, but clearly, this is an act of wickedness. The family did not. I think, the police should actually see this.
Yes, this is elder abuse. Yes. This is kidnapping. This is keeping somebody without, like,
She had to talk to you She had to talk to so many factions so they can come to the father. Why? It's my father. Why? Why must they have to prey on the men in the village to come and talk to you, to be telling you, to release a full-grown man who is parent to somebody else? Anyways, we'll take a short break now, guys. When we come back, we head to Ghana, where a directive banning the use of honorary titles has been issued. Is this directive too drastic, or does the Commission have a strong reason for issuing such a command? Stay with us. Jasiri continues right after this.
Welcome back to Jasiri. This is still Jasiri, and we're going to our final story for today. We head to Ghana, where the conversation around titles, recognition, and academic credibility has taken a bold and new turn. The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission has dropped a directive that has got a lot of people talking, especially the elite, rethinking how they introduce themselves. Here is the headline. No more calling yourself doctor or professor if the title came from an honorary degree. That's right. The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission said the trend of publicly using honorary doctorates and professorship, especially by politicians, business people, and religious leaders, have now gone too far. And now they're drawing a clear line. In an official statement, the Commission warned that anyone who disregards this order risks public exposure and now potentially legal action.
So, you may be asking yourself why. So, according to GTech, this growing obsession with honorary titles is chipping away at the integrity of Ghana's academic system. I'm loving this. The statement reads, quote, "This notice goes especially to politicians, businessmen and women, men and women of God, and any other category of persons to desist from officially using the honorary doctorate and professorship titles in their everyday life," end quote. Very strong words. But they didn't stop there. GTech called the practice unethical and misleading and argued that it's undermining the value of real academic achievements like PhDs and professorships that require years of rigorous research, peer review, and scholarly excellence. In short, when everyone is called doc or prof, even without the work, the titles start to mean nothing. So what do you think? Is this a much-needed move to protect academic credibility, or is it too harsh on those who've been honored for contributions outside the classroom? Either way, one thing is clear. In Ghana, honor no longer equals qualification, and GTech wants the world to take note. Ladies, I love this story.
And this reminds me of a serious, I'm sure if I mentioned the name, everybody would know it. So there was a medical emergency, and someone was dying, and they said, is there any doctor here? And he said, yeah, I'm a doctor. Then his girlfriend said, someone is actually dying here. Be serious? so a lot of times when I think of this, that's what comes to mind, that it literally waters down. Imagine having two doctors, and one has spent years trying to acquire that, you know, that title, and then you just got it in one.
But they get it for in a good society. They actually get it for contributions to society. In Nigeria, some people now buy it to society and some buy it.
Yeah, but someone will also say that that's akin to some countries where you can buy nationality. You can buy the passport.
It can't be the same thing. Because when I hear doctor or prof, when you put it on your bio, it lends you a level of credibility, integrity, and standing in the society.
I mean, why
don't you? My daddy is a doctor. I told him that we should share that doctor because we did that PhD together.
So how about highlighting it that you're not, it's
They don't, honorary. But that's the thing, they don't do. They don't say it's honorary. So I've seen Nigerian celebrities, they will get the honorary, they'll change their bios on social media, and then when they're going for events, so they'll be using doctor to introduce them. What's that?
Honorary, yeah, it's true. I know that can. Who doesn't like a bit of, you understand, feel good, like boost? So they do that. I know that they do that. And Blessings was saying something. If push comes to shove and you need someone to really do the work, it is the honorary doctorand that will say, yes, I'm the doctor. Any doctor in the house, they are the ones that will quickly say, that's me.
Meanwhile, when it comes I understand from both sides, and I think maybe because it's honorary, depending on who is given the award, I think we should keep it, but we should add the word honorary in front of it. I mean, to an average Nigerian, that waters it down. So maybe, you know, if we can do that.
Do you think it's something we can do in Nigeria, though?
She lands over the world. Do you know there are no name university? How that? There are mom and pop shops that are giving honorary doctorates.
Yes.
So you won't come and tell me that you got it from Ogbomoso University Limited, something.
No.
But once they give you that doctor, all of us will hear it on social media.
I'm not sure, but I think one was inferred on, what's his name? Flavor from Harvard?
Yeah.
Flavor got something from Harvard. I'm not sure. Don't quote me.
Yeah.
But yes, if you're getting from institutions like that, I think you can own it. You can be proud of it. But when we are addressing you, it should be in front. Honorary doctor.
We should not. No, I don't. I don't even think we should be addressing you as doctor if you did not get it by doing academic work. If it's given to you as honorary, note it on social media. But why am I going to use, assuming it's Flavor, and introducing Flavor as Dr. Flavor in Abanya? What is it?
And there's some that will actually not answer you if you don't add that.
Yes.
They will
So
correct you.
what is the problem with us? Is it now like an ego thing, like human beings? Everybody likes to feel good. My name is doctor, even if you didn't do something. You understand?
So I think that, yes, it's ego, and then there's also that thing about, there's some people who are actually putting in the work, and they just want to go the extra length to avoid finish. That's why you see that people just come up with award ceremonies for no damn reason. You just see under one tree, they're giving people, and then when you collect like 3 of those awards, you now put multi-award winning. You know, so because a lot of people just want. That's why people, when Meta started selling the blue tick, Nigerians were the biggest customers because everybody wants. It's not even just because you want to verify your business. Everybody wants to avoid finish. So you see blue tick and now go there and see 2,500 followers. It's not like your numbers are not.
So I think that
enough.
point is also the point GTech was making in terms of being misleading. So people are now putting these honorary doctorates and professors in front of their names. When it lends them this credibility, some of them are using it to be involved in scams. And so when you see a doctor so-and-so advertising or influencing for a real estate company or for a clinical, you think that it's a genuine thing because his so-and-so doctor is Professor so-and-so. And I think they're on a good track with it. I think Could it happen? I don't think it happened in Nigeria because there are lots of politicians that have honorary doctorates that did not.
Yeah.
In my
and they use it
and
they use it in circles where
it's the politicians that will need to make the law or that will need to approve agree to this. It's not going to happen.
It won't get there.
The doctors will refuse.
And the professors will say no. That's bad.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, anybody has anything else to say? Final words?
Let's
Any
do it
final
for
words?
today.
Who's the doctor here?
Already. Honorary, you mean?
I'm doctor by blood.
All right, this is where we leave it for today and for the week. Thank you so much for riding with us on Jasiri, where we don't just report the headlines, we unpack the heart being the story. And yes, we received Glasgows again this week, but it's okay, that's what we do. If you want to hear the truth undiluted, come here. As always, stay bold, stay curious, and never stop asking the top questions. We'll be back next week with more stories that challenge, inspire, and ignite action. Until then, take care of yourself. Rest if you can. And remember, in a world that often demands silence, being Jasiri means using your voice anyway. Have a great weekend from me and the ladies.
Bye.
Bye for now.